Hello and welcome to this Vicon training session. The purpose of this session will be cover the enhancements to the export tags feature for the Niagara AX 3.6 software. For the purposes of this session, I'm running two stations on my local PC. The first station is named Building 1 Jace and is running on port 1911. The second station is named Web Supervisor and is running on port 1912. To take a look at the enhancements, I'll start by navigating into the Niagara network and looking at the subordinate tag export extension. Now, I have many tags set up in this station with PXView tags and point tags and such. And I'm going to turn off the supervisor station column just to gain a little real estate for demonstrating the tags here. Now, simply by right clicking on one of these tags, I can choose the property sheet view. And the first thing I wanted to point out is that the station slot path has now been enhanced to support B format. So previously with 3.5, when you were configuring these tags, you had to specify the station slot path, which defines the slot path in the supervisor, the target station, where the object's going to be created, the point tag or the PXView tag, history export, etc. When you clicked on the folder icon, it opens up a dialog box to select that location in the parent target station. And this really is a template file that's on the J station, on the source station, and you had to go in and specify the actual path to the location where you wanted these objects to be created. So this required managing under the join profiles. There's a web supervisor profile here, and this is essentially a partial bog file, and that required you to actually manage this partial bog file and go in and define all these things, like maybe I wanted a VAV 01 folder to be underneath that supervisor, and you had to go in and define all these point structures and save that template file. And the reason for that was to then be able to access or specify those ORDs here in this ORD chooser. So with 3.6, we now have the ability to use B format syntax in the station slot path. And notice that the B format syntax gets highlighted with a blue color text to help indicate those sections and help with readability. And what happens when the join occurs is that if the station slot path doesn't exist that's represented by this B format syntax being resolved, it automatically gets created in the supervisor. So this will work for PXView tags, which will create B folders, point tags, which will create Niagara point folders, history import and system import tags, which create archive folders under the history extension, and component tags, which use B folders. So all those tags can benefit from this B format syntax and dynamically creating those folder slot paths on the supervisor. Now, additionally, there's a couple of syntaxes which have been created specifically for this export tags functionality, and you'll notice looking on the export tags manager view here that there's a syntax called %device folder path, and there's also a syntax called %network folder path. So I want to just explain the difference between those two syntaxes and what they'll resolve for you. So when we talk about the network folder path, it's going to start at the network level, and it's going to include anything, any device object, the point device extension, and if it had any subfolders underneath here, it would also include the subfolders. So for example, with this VAV1, and I'm exporting, I have a point tag on the space temperature point, then it's using the network folder path. So when it gets created in the supervisor, it's going to be under the points container of the client in the supervisor station, and then it's going to use the network folder path, which would be VAV1, points, and then space temp. Now the device folder path is very similar, but it's centric to the device level, and specifically it starts at the point extension for the device. So where the network level started the network, the device starts at the point extension of the actual device. So in this case, we have the space temperature point is nested under an inputs folder, and we have a point tag here. So we're looking at this particular tag here, the space temp under the inputs folder. And you can see that the slot path has 4 parent levels and then a / and the device folder path. So from the point tag, 4 parent levels would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this syntax is going to resolve the points container in the supervisor, a /, then the name of the device, VAV01, a /, and then it's going to use the remaining device folder path, which starts relative at the points container. So it would include the inputs subfolder, or in this case the set points folder here for this other point tag. So just to help make a little more sense out of all this, then we'll go ahead and go down to the supervisor station, and I'll navigate to the Niagara network here, and have my JACE here, my building 1 JACE, and you can see there's nothing in the points container at this point. And we'll go ahead and do the action to do the join, and now automatically it has created all these subfolders based on the PXView tags and the point tags, which are defined in the JACE station for me using the B format. So remember, we used the device folder path here for the VAV01. So the parent syntax, the 4 parent levels, resolved the VAV01, and remember this is underneath the points container, VAV01, and then the device folder path built the inputs and the set points here for the points to reside inside of. Then looking at the VAV1, it's using the network folder path. So it used the VAV1 device name, then the point extension, and then had there been any further subfolders, it would have included those, and the points are located directly underneath. So hopefully that makes sense to you. But just remember, the network folder path starts at the field network level, in this case the BACnet network, and it includes the device object, the point device extension, and any sub point folders. The device folder path starts relative to the point extension of the field network and includes any subfolders beneath that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the supervisor station column back on, and wanted to demonstrate to you that both in this export tag summary manager view, there's a button here that says set all supervisor station names, and there's also an action available on that subordinate extension that we can set all supervisor station names. Now, this is a confirmed action, so it does prompt you to say, are you sure you want to invoke this? When you click the yes, you get prompted with a dialog box, which would allow you to select from any stations which were defined in the Niagara network. In this case, I only have one station defined, so I'm just going to type in a station name here. And you might find this useful as well if you haven't actually joined to the supervisor yet or defined that extension yet. So you can see quickly that all the export tag extensions all changed their supervisor ID to demo station. I can quickly change those all back to web supervisor by using the button in the manager view. So this is really a convenience. Previously you had to kind of select all of these tags and then perform a batch edit and then go in and set that supervisor station name. So having the button here sort of makes it a more streamlined process, a little bit quicker, maybe a few less mouse clicks hopefully. Now, the other enhancement to the 3.6 export tags feature is relative to the PXView tags, and looking at, for example, this PX file. The header here is a PX include, and there may be other circumstances where you've used PX includes in your graphics in the JACE station. And in 3.5, those PX includes were not actually rendered properly rendered at all really at the supervisor level. So with 3.6 now, you can use graphics in the JACE with PX includes, and when you use the PX view tag, that PX view should be rendered properly in the supervisor station as well. So we could take a quick look at the supervisor at the VAV1 points container and see that that header does indeed get rendered properly, even though it's a PX include. So that's a overview of the enhancements to the export tags feature in Niagara AX 3.6. Please stay tuned for other training sessions on other enhancements within the framework for 3.6. Thank you.